Hello, I'm Andy, and today I'm making another booktube video. Today I wanted to do the bookshelf scavenger hunt, which is a tag. I was not formally tagged by anyone, but a YouTuber who did this said that anyone who wanted to do it was tagged. So here I am, doing it. This tag is really straightforward. I have a list of 19 things I need to find on my bookshelves. I'm going to stay here. I have about 50 books on different shelves around my house, but I don't want to move the camera every time. So that's why there's this chaos around me in the video today. Without further ado, scavenger hunt item number 1. Find a book with the letter Z in the title or the author's name. Of course, I put this on the very bottom of the stack. So I kind of had to cheat for this one. I'm going with Zelda, officially titled Hyrule Historia, but there's a Z in there. It counts. Second item is to find a classic, and I am picking Treasure Island by Robert Louis Stevenson. I have the Junior Classic for Young Readers edition because this is what they sell at the dollar store, and I hadn't read Treasure Island ever. Yay, dollar store! Number 3 was to find a book with a key on the cover, which I was sure would be so easy. And I tore through my library. I don't have a single book with the key on the cover. So instead, I decided I'll just make up my own thing for this, and I picked a non-fiction book, since that one's not on the list yet. And I'm going with A Conscious Introduction to Tibetan Buddhism, because look how pretty the cover is. Item 4, find something on your bookshelf that is not a book. How about Toothless? He's so cute. Oh, little baby dragon. Little baby tooth. Okay, sorry. 5, what is the oldest book you own? And for this one, I actually have a pretty cool option. This copy of Pride and Prejudice, missing the dust jacket, was published. Oh my god, that old book smells so good. This was published in August of 1940. I'm pretty sure that wins the challenge for oldest book. Number 6, find a book with a girl on the cover, and I went with City of Ash, which is the second book in the Mortal Instruments series, and she's even a redhead like me. Bonus points! Number 7, find a book with an animal. I wasn't sure if this was find a book with an animal on the cover or like starring an animal, so I picked Calvin and Hobbes because that meets both requirements. Also, who doesn't like Calvin and Hobbes? Like, if you're saying right now that you don't, then you can go ahead and just like unsubscribe, walk away, because if you don't like Calvin and Hobbes, I just don't need you in my life. Next up is a book starring a male protagonist, and for that, I'm just gonna go with the classic Harry Potter. Number 9, pick a book with no images and only words on the cover. And I'm going with the Dover edition of some Edgar Allan Poe collections. This one is The Golden Bug and Other Tales. Item number 10, find an illustrated book. And I went with Percy Jackson's Greek Gods because the illustrations in this are just fucking beautiful. Even if you're not really into Greek mythology, you just need to go to a bookstore and flip through this because the illustrations are amazing. Number 11, find a book with gold lettering. And for this, I'm going with my collector's editions of the Grimm fairy tales. It's even shiny. Number 12, find a diary. And I actually keep my own personal diary on my bookshelf. Also, I'm an old lady at heart, and yes, my diary is pictures of quilt patterns, because that's just how I roll, man. Item 13, find an author with a very common last name, and I went with Hans Christian Andersen, because it doesn't get more common than Andersen. Item 14, find a book with a close-up image on it, and I'm going with Twilight with the close-up hands. Next up is the book taking place in the oldest time period, and I went with Gilgamesh because, as far as we know really, this is the oldest written story in human history. The tablets were already written down in the first centuries of the second millennium BC. That's pretty freaking old. 16, find a hardcover book that doesn't have a dust jacket. And I'm going with Love That Dog. This is like my childhood love. It was my first exposure to poetry really, and it's so old that the spine is like a different color. Also, chewed up by a dog. Only book I've ever owned that was chewed on by a dog. But you gotta love that dog, man. 17, pick a teal colored book. I'm going with Monstrous. Not only is the dust jacket kind of teal, but the book itself, this really lovely, more blue than teal kind of color, but it's teal, totally. Yeah. Find a book with stars on the cover. For this, I'm going with Enchantress of the Stars. You can sort of see the shimmery. Also, isn't this like the weirdest shaped book you've ever seen? I haven't even read this yet. I honestly kind of just bought it because it's so strangely shaped and I found that interesting. This is how I choose to spend my money. I wonder why I'm broke. And finally, number 19, choose a non-YA book. And I decided to pick an anthology. This is the Heath Anthology of American Literature, Volume D. Good stuff. No, seriously though, despite the really drab title and cover, this is actually a great anthology. And that's it! That is my scavenger hunt book tag. Should I try to pick them all up? Okay, this is only 8 and I can barely lift it, so we're just not gonna do that thumbnail today. Nope. If you enjoyed this and want to watch more booktube videos, you should subscribe. And if you don't like booktube videos, I do stuff other than this anyway, so you should still subscribe. Just subscribe! Just watch my videos! That got weird. Alright, see you next week! My poor, beautiful bookshelf. What have I done to you? What have I done?